when you look at a picture like that on the wall, it's a beautiful, beautiful encapsulation of the Penokee Sloughs, Long Island, and Hope Point. But when I look at that picture right there, there's a lot of things that come out. And I'll just give you a quick example to highlight a little bit of our home. I don't have a laser. I can use one. Right there. This is Unbroken Beach. You see the white strip? And that's Long Island. Long Island dead ends over here by Madeline, one of the apostles. And I think about that. And really quick glance at that picture, the tip of Long Island, has me thinking about an old story William Warren wrote in History of the Ojibwe, of a Lakota war party out here that ambushed a young Ojibwe man. And how his father swam from the tip of Madeline Island over to Long Island, and how the Ojibwe chased down, and all those things that happened there, and that forgotten history. And even though it's probably not the most pleasant thought, it's one of those stories that reminds me of those ancient connections. But I go up in here to Sandcup, and I think about Page Island, when Lake Superior retreated a little bit a couple years ago because of drought-like conditions. And for those of you who pay attention, probably the result of climatic change, right? Global warming. A little bitty sand spit rose up. My daughter Paige said, well, Madeline, my other daughter, if Madeline has her own island over there on the other side of that, I want that for me. She claimed it as Page Island. But I also know that the Nellis boys and Norm Shear, one of our elders, love to get up in here and rice. There's short portage and long portage that were ways for all the rice beds that are in here. And the high ground oak that's in here, there is short portage and long portage where our tribal people historically used to cross over and get in the sand cut and rice on this side and back and forth. And that this high ground right here with oak used to be the home of ancestral wild rice camps where they processed wild rice. And when they paddled back upriver to the communities, all the finished rice was already in their boats. And I get up in the big slough where I make wild rice in August, and I can hear my uncle telling me not to pound the rice stick on the bottom of that canoe because it might wake up the spirit there that's in those waters. And that it's a serpent. Stop that. And I can remember being up in Northeast Slough right here in Rice one day when I swear to God I heard Ojibwe on the wind. Okay? We come right here to the Y, and in the spring our hatchery puts some of the big red horse carp that are destroying wild rice. They put some of them out right there. When they harvest them and fight nets as they're getting their stock to sustain the walleyes and to sustain the perch for the Schwamigan Bay community. Those red horse go right there. And there's tons of eagles that drop down and spend the spring right there around those red horse carp. And then the hatchery boys go back and they pick up the different feathers. You come up here, and there's a place right here. I'm going to say, pardon my French, but ever since I was a little bitty kid, I was fascinated by it because everybody and all the old timers call that Shit Island. And the reason it's called that is because when you come from the upstream waters and you're heading out to spend the day in the sloughs, that's one of the last places you're going to find terra firma. You're going to find solid ground. But it's also an ancestral fish camp. And Shit Island is a place where guys would camp out in the springtime and go set their nets in all these tributaries. Because Kakagan is, when you look at the Ojibwe derivative, really speaks back to Oga as meaning fish, and the rest of it puts together a picture of a fish nursery. And there's an incredible walleye run that occurs through all of these tributaries. And we have a short walleye gill netting season that's strictly monitored and sustainable that we've been doing for a long time. I come up, this right here is called Big Round River. I look at that and I see a doe that I shot one year right near the water that sustained my family. Right up here where Big Round joins Kakaga River again, I think of this bear trail every summer. That we had a bigger picture. Actually, we can see it. It's actually not right here. It's right here. This is the old White Riverbed that no longer exists. The Bad River captured the White River about 350 years ago. But the old memory of the White River and the old memory of that water still runs through the land, and you can see that snake in there. In the high ground and the big trees in what is otherwise a boggy world right there. But that White River joined this tributary of Kakagan. But you see how the woods comes across, and it looks like it almost wants to cross this river right here. And then of course the woods start again. Well, right here, every summer is the most fantastic bear crossing trail that you'd ever find. And twice in my life, just randomly coming through the riverway there, I've had the privilege of seeing bears swim. And I could go on and on and on about different memories, different connections, talk about old people that are no longer here, and what they used to say, and what they used to do in these areas, about former Vice Chairman Bing Lemieux utilizing Shit Island and having a lock break on them, things like that, right? Old stories I heard when I was a kid, and then also all those other stories that are a little more serious that speak to the sacred connections that we got. And so all of that is in a nutshell, the story of our home, right? A story of relationships, a story of understandings that are hard to convey when you have 2 minutes to give testimony on why some of this stuff is really important. It's hard to convey when I don't have time to talk about all these memories that are there, let alone the importance from a migratory flyway perspective and the diminishing species of waterfowl that are at risk. Or the fact that from Big Round River, on any given day, on your trip up into Lake Superior, you'll probably jump up about 7 to 9 blue herons. But that stuff has importance, and that they all have a place. You get 2 minutes, you get 3.5 minutes to try and put all that from your heart into words, and it just doesn't work. But it's all there, and it's all real.